Hi everyone, I'm Catherine from Research Rockstar. Thanks for joining me here today. Today I actually have a question for you to ask you about your market research or customer insights team. But before I ask you the question, I want to start with a little bit of context. Even just now, I refer to market research or customer insights. These days, it seems like we have a lot of colleagues and teams that refer to themselves as market research, and we have a lot of teams that refer to themselves as customer insights. Clearly, we've seen some changes over the last few years. The phrase customer insights has become increasingly common, not only in the names of departments and companies, but also in job titles. And I've shared some of this past research in previous episodes of this YouTube broadcast. But just in general, we've seen a huge rise in the phrase insights as the way we refer to the work we do. And it's also come up in a lot of other ways, too. We see evidence of the rise of this phrase as an important phrase for defining our work in our professional associations. When the MRA and CASRO merged in January of 2017, the newly formed organization was named the Insights Association. Again, Insights. And even if we look at one of our primary publications, and probably the leading media source in our profession, Quirk's Marketing Research Review, which has been around for a long, long time. If you look on their LinkedIn group, which, by the way, is a great LinkedIn group to join if you're not already a member, you'll see that it's actually called the Marketing Research and Insights Group, powered by Quirks. By the way, the Insights Association also has a really great LinkedIn group. So those are both really, really great groups to be part of on LinkedIn if you're in the market research profession. So clearly, the large organizations in our field are adopting the phrase insights. And we also, again, see a lot of evidence in this in terms of what types of jobs are available out there. So just to get a quick sanity check and have some current data for today, I looked at Indeed, the job search site, and when I searched for the phrase customer insights, I found 1,900 job postings in the United States. A variation is consumer insights, and with that one I found 2,200 job postings. When I searched for market research, initially, I got about 10,000. However, we have to subtract out things like stock market research and other finance-related variations of the phrase market research. When I did some Boolean filtering to get out the stock market stuff and some of the other topics that are really not relevant to what we're doing, it came out to be about 800 job postings that were really relevant to us that used the phrase, quote, market research. But again, I did have to do some filtering to get out that finance-related stuff. So what does this all say to me? Not surprisingly, the phrase insights is super popular in terms of defining our departments, our teams, our jobs, our profession. And so one of the things we have to think about then is if the phrase insights really has become sort of the default way of thinking about the work we do, if it's really becoming a central theme in our work, and I think we all agree it's true, then we have to ask ourselves a question. How do you want to define insights? And does your team have a definition? Now, when I use the phrase insights, you might think, well, gosh, Catherine, that's an obvious term. Do we really have to define it? And actually, what I find in talking to people is that they actually do have different definitions of the term insights. So if nothing else, it can be a really great exercise for your team to be able to say, hey, let's sit down and let's come up with a common definition. And to get you started, I've got some definitions that you can use as a starting place. So these are some definitions of customer insights, and I know this might seem a little bit small, but I'll also paste in the URL to this document, so if anybody wants to download it, that they can get instant access. This is from some work I did earlier this year with John Holcomb. John Holcomb, some of you may know as the Insights guy. He does a lot of workshops and training on the topic of insights. He speaks at trade shows and such, and he's done a lot of great market research work, a lot of great customer insights work for brands where really the goal was to make sure they were getting the most insights out of their research investments. So John's a wonderful expert. And when I was working with him, what I did was I pulled together a bunch of quotes of how to define insights from various sources. These have citations from Forbes magazine, Harvard Business Review, different research experts, and so forth. And some of these definitions are really kind of interesting. So one of the ones I'll read out loud is B, which is Consumer insights is a revelatory breakthrough in understanding consumers' lives that can inspire a company to serve them better. That's a pretty good inspirational definition of insights, I think. Here's another one I really like. Customer insights should be powerful enough that, when they are acted upon, they can persuade individuals to change their behavior. So again, there are 8 different definitions here. They do have some overlap, but there's also some variety. So this can be a good way to start the conversation with your team about how should we define insights. And by the way, you might find that as you're discussing differences of opinion, that process is actually a really important one. If your team members do actually have different definitions, coming together to a consensus and reaching a consensus on a definition everybody can agree to can be a really wonderful process for making sure everybody's speaking the same language and has the same expectations. So that when I say, hey, I've just written an awesome executive summary that's sure to inspire insights, you know exactly what I mean. Well, after we pulled together some of these quotes, John and I actually did a webinar about this. And we then polled the webinar attendees to see which quotes they liked best. And a few of the quotes did come up really high. Now, this is based on just 54 people, so this is, of course, directional. But there was one quote that did come up the most popular at 37% of our participants, and that was the one that I'll read as follows. So the winning quote, the winning definition of insights: an insight is a new or original deep understanding of your customer's attitudes, behaviors, or needs that creates opportunity for your brand, product, or service. I think that's a really good one because it gets to this point where the deep understanding is going to create opportunity. And isn't that really ultimately what we want with insights? People who've taken research report writing courses with me know that one of the things I often say is, if we want business people to put market research to use, we have to make a connection to the business. And business is ultimately about making money and saving money. Most decisions that we are informing ultimately have to do with either making money or saving money. So I love this idea of tying a definition of insight specifically to creating opportunity for a brand, a product, or a service. So again, use the quotes as you can to maybe start a conversation with your team and try to reach consensus. And what was really exciting for me with this little exercise about defining insights was that the winning quote that we gave, again, we gave 8 quotes, that winning quote actually came from John Holcomb. So it was just a stunning coincidence. I promise it wasn't biased, but John's definition was the one that ended up getting picked most by our webinar attendees. So that was really fun. Again, I'll put the link to these quotes on the show notes here. I also want to let you guys know that if this is a topic that's of interest, John is teaching a course for Research Rockstar coming up in December. It's going to meet on December 5th and 12th, and it is his course on creating customer insights that inspire. So this is going to be a 2-session course, 90 minutes each, so 3 hours total classroom time. For those of you who may be trying to not only come to an agreement with your team about what the definition of insights is, but if you also want a framework for making sure that you are consistently writing your research results in a way that will inspire insights, I think you'll find this course of interest. So this is available if you want to check out more details at training.researchrockstar.com. And again, that course is going to be starting on December 5th. If anybody has any questions, please do contact me. You can always follow me on Twitter at ResearchRocks, and you can also find my contact information and contact form at training.researchrockstar.com. Thanks and have a great day.